What's going on, everyone? So the fun doesn't stop. The Los Angeles Lakers, per Evan Sidery, says that they recently spoke to the Portland Trailblazers about potentially acquiring Jerami Grant as well as Robert Williams. So again, per Evan Sidery, he says the Lakers recently checked in with the Trailblazers on Jerami Grant and Robert Williams. Los Angeles can make the salaries work by including Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jalen Hood-Schifino. Portland would need a first-round draft capital in return to consider. Not necessarily to get it done, but to consider. It says need first-round draft capital. Does that mean just one pick? Does that mean that they want both the Lakers picks? I mean, I imagine that they're going to ask for both Lakers picks. Are those two guys worth both Lakers picks? No. If you could get both for one first, I would probably do it, right? Jerami Grant's contract is tough. I'm not a big fan of his contract, but he's a guy that fits what you need, right? He would be your third best player. I would prefer Jerami Grant as your third guy over Austin Reeves. The big question is just the defense, right? Jerami Grant defensively has not been great. Also, the rebounding is something that is a bit of a concern, right? But I do think two things. One, when you're on bad teams, not really they're not asking you for much, right? Where if he goes to the Lakers and JJ's demanding that you crash the boards, demanding that you come from the corners, right? Defensively, you have Anthony Davis as your support rather than Ayton. You have, Dorian Finney-Smith and all these guys, right? Like Max Chris. You have other guys that are active on the defensive side of things. Go bring in a Robert Williams. You could slot Robert Williams alongside Anthony Davis, all that stuff. Jerami Grant, I've always said from the beginning, out of all the small forwards that are available, Jerami Grant might be the best out of all of them, right? The one guy you could argue is Cam Johnson, but Cam Johnson is having the stellar year this year. Jerami Grant overall has been probably the best two-way wing that has been available as of late, right? He's better than Kuz and some of these other guys. But again, it's just, is he open? Does he want to be the third option, for one? Lakers tried to trade for him years ago, back when he was with Detroit, and he said something along the lines of I don't want to be a third option or whatever, and the Lakers stopped trading for him because they were like, okay, well, we're not going to trade for a guy that doesn't want to be a third guy. Now, this was many moons ago. This was even before he was in Denver and stuff like that, went to the conference final. So things might have changed. He might have matured more, right? He's 30 now. So, given the circumstance now, where at that time, I think he was 24, 25, something like that, so it was a different time, right? It was many moons ago at this point. So now, his tune might have changed a little bit, but again, he's still 30. The problem is his contract, right? He still has multiple years on his deal, which is why it's just not worth, and you're seeing the way the new CBA has shaped up and how reluctant people are to pull off these moves, right? He's making $29.7 million this year, so basically $30 million you need to send out, $32 million, $34 million, and then he has a player option for $36 million through 2027, 2028. So you'd still have 3 more years with him. That costs something, right? I'm not giving up multiple firsts for that. I would be reluctant to give up even a first for that. However, getting Robert Williams is probably worth, 2 seconds, or a team would probably pony up and give you 2 seconds for Robert Williams. So I do think that there is the justification of get Jerami Grant, you get Robert Williams. Both guys have concerns for different reasons, right? Jerami Grant is his contract, and just how serious is he on a nightly basis, right? Scoring the basketball and doing all that stuff you're not worried about, but it's just him buying in on both sides of the basketball. Again, it's one thing to be on bad teams. It's another thing to be on a team actually trying to win and contend for a championship. So I could see things change. And then Robert Williams is just injury history, right? It's just his health. Can he stay healthy? Robert Williams, we've talked about it before. Robert Williams healthy might be the best option the Lakers could get. You're talking about a guy that is big, physical, imposing, can rebound the you-know-what out of the basketball, right? The guy is exactly what this Lakers team needs. But again, can he stay healthy? Can he play more than, 20 games without getting hurt, right? But sticking on Jerami Grant, and then we'll move to Robert Williams. So Jerami Grant this season, he is in 32 games this season, averaging 32 minutes per game. He is shooting 38.3% from the floor, which is not great on 12.5 attempts. His field goal percentages are the lowest it's been since 2019-2020. But his field goal percentage is also the second lowest of his career, third lowest of his career. That's not good, right? But again, you're on Portland, you're on a bad team. It's very different when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis around you. Just something to kind of consider and keep in mind. 3-point range. On 6.3 attempts, he's shooting 38% from 3-point range. So basically half of his attempts are from three, and he's shooting 38%, which is down from the 40% he shot the last 2 years. Again, can he get back up? Playing alongside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Something to at least consider. But even 38%, I would take. The 2-point percentage is where it's rough right now. He's shooting 38.6% from 2-point range on 6.2 attempts. So the other half of the attempts. That is terrible, right? A lot of it has just been shot selection, him kind of forcing stuff, trying to get stuff up. Again, in the system, I do think he'd pick that back up. 3-point percentage is there, but his 2-point percentage, that's not great. Right? That's not something to be excited about. He has a 47, basically 48% EFG. He's shooting 83.3% from the foul line, which is good on 3.6 attempts, which is the most in the last 3 years. Rebounding, he's averaging 3.5 rebounds, 2.2 assists, a steal, a block, and 15 points. So he's basically a 15, 3, and 4 guy with a steal and a block. So you have, again, the defensive side of things. You have him just being active. I believe, and look, I could be wrong. I could end up getting proven wrong if they end up pulling off. I think he'll be much better with the Lakers than he is right now with Portland. I think he'll look closer to what he was the previous year. So, like, look at last year, right? For example, 54 games, 34 minutes from the per game. He shot 45.1% from the floor on 15.7 attempts, 40.2% from three-point range on 5.1 attempts. 2-point percentage was 47.5% and had an EFG of 52%, shot 82% from the foul line on 5.8 attempts, averaged 3.5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block, and 21 points. I'm not saying he'll get 21 points, but I think he'll get you probably, 18 in that range, 17 to 18 points per game, but on better efficiency than what he's providing right now. And I think he'll be better defensively, right? I mean, he right now remove Dorian Finney-Smith and Jared Vanderbilt from the equation. Look at the rest of the roster. Obviously, not name Anthony Davis. He would be the best defensive piece, right? It would be our third best player, even given the circumstances that even as bad as he's been playing, right? So I've always been for going and acquiring Jerami Grant, but it's always been for me the price, right? I think if you can get him for the right price, I do think it's worth the flyer. And then you go get Robert Williams, right? Because now you got a guy that can be a 20-point-a-game scorer. He can create for himself, create a little bit for others, right? I think he'd be more motivated being on a team that's actually trying to contend rather than a team that's trying to get the best draft pick possible. Right? Your perspective, your outlook, everything changes, right? So do think that. But Robert Williams, right? He, 27 years old, right? Again, he's literally everything this team needs. He is, 6'9", 6'10", but he's got a 7'6" wingspan, and he's 250 pounds. He's just a force. If you've watched him play, the dude is an absolute force. But this season, in 15 games, so he's already missed more than half the season for Portland. 15 games, he's averaging 17 minutes per game, which is the lowest he's averaged since his second season. Last year, he played in 6 games. The previous year, he played in 35 for Boston. The most he's ever played in a season was in 2021-2022, where he played 61 games. Right? This is where the problem lies for Robert Williams. He can't stay healthy. That's the issue. If he could stay healthy, this dude would be, almost every team in the league would probably be trying to go get him if he was healthy. It's kind of why there is the potential of you being able to acquire him, but it's just something to keep in mind. But anyway, on 3.5 field goal attempts per game, he's shooting 70% from the floor. He doesn't really take threes. He's technically 0.2 threes. He's made a couple this season, but he's mostly on the interior presence. 72%, like I mentioned, from 2-point range. EFG of 70.8%, so basically 71%. Free throw line, he's shooting 93.3% on just one attempt per game, so small sample size. But he's averaging right now 5 rebounds, including 1.5 offensive, 1.1 steals, 1.1 assists, a steal, almost 2 blocks, and 6 points. So he's basically a 6 and 5 guy with 2 blocks in 17 minutes. Right? Like, if you think about the Lakers, it's all they really need, right? You just need a guy that can come in, plug in, and play 15 to 20 minutes a night. Once you get to the playoffs, you're only looking for a guy to come in and plug in and play, 12 minutes a night. Right? Anthony Davis is probably playing 40-plus minutes. Probably play Robert Williams and Anthony Davis alongside each other. Ideally, if Robert Williams could give you 20 minutes a night off the bench in a backup role, that would be perfect, right? That's all you'd really need from him. Right? And then Jerami Grant, like, you could go, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jerami Grant with Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis have like big size, physicality, all that stuff. Like I said, Jerami Grant can self-create, go get buckets for yourself. Defend, you'd have that switchability, you'd have that size, right? Add in a Robert Williams off the bat. Like, I don't hate it. I really don't. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a bad move at all. It just comes down to the cost, right? Like, everybody that's available right now are all risks. Like, all of them, right? Like, Bruce Brown, Jerami Grant, right? Cam Johnson doesn't have the best injury history even, right? Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram, right? Like, look at everyone that's available right now. All of them come with risks, whether it's injuries or performance or they're having a down year or whatever, right? So it's just like, pick your poison. To me, I think, like, Robert Williams and Jerami Grant are 2 guys that could raise the ceiling enough, potentially, if it all works out and guys can stay healthy, to maybe put them in that conversation for contention status. Talk about a guy that could be a 24-4 guy or 25-5 guy in Jerami Grant. He's been it before. He's capable of it. I still believe he has it in there. I just think he needs to have purpose, right? He needs to have a reason to get up and play. But probably not my favorite option again, right? Like, there's other players that I would prefer. But if you told me tomorrow the Lakers got this deal done, I would be all for it. I'd be like, all right, cool, bet, right? But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree, disagree, kind of mixed in the middle, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. Do you want Jerami Grant? Do you want Robert Williams? Do you just want one or the other? How you feel? Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.